Kris, Lee, talk to me. The Newcastle takeover. How are you feeling?
We've had a drag away from the party, to be fair. Hindsight right now, since last Wednesday, I would say, has been through the roof. We saw scenes when Liverpool won the Champions League, what it was like outside that ground. We're the same, just because we've got rid of Mike Ashley. So it's, as a Newcastle fan, I'm full of pride now because I can actually see me club going forward, and that's all that we've ever asked for. And something I felt as if the chains were on under Mike Ashley, and now we might actually have a chance to win a few games. It's all we want, win a few games.
Yeah. It's the hope that we wanted, because it's, Gary, you've talked about it numerous of times recently. Jamie, you've got, Scousers, Geordies, and we've had the life just sucked out of us for so many years. And that mindset, you're thinking, oh, it's negative. I hope I get a point today. That'll change in time when the playing squad will get better. We'll invest. You'll see the whole city, the area, youth development, the stadium, the training ground. It's a big, big time for us as Geordies, and we've waited, and we're the last club in the Premier League to actually have a takeover. And we've got that now, and we cannot wait, can we? Cannot wait, just beaming smiles.
I don't want to kind of throw a spanner in the works, but do we have a right to feel a little bit uncomfortable about where the money's coming from?
Yes, but you could also say that against some of the Premier League sides in today's. If you look at Chelsea, look at their owner. If you look at Manchester United, done a strategic deal with Saudi Arabia, almost 4 years to this day. You look at, you just move across and look at who the owners are in the Premier Leagues. I think it's not our fault that we've got Saudi investment. We're more happy that Mike Ashley has gone out of our club. And yes, there is concerns of human rights and what happens to Saudi Arabia, but that shouldn't be put on us as a fan base.
I think we can still obviously be concerned about where the money's coming from, of course, but we can still celebrate in the same fact of the ownership going under Mike Ashley. We've got to educate ourselves right now in regards to what has happened in the past and where the money is coming from. We'll have to do that as a fan base. We can't ignore it. It's going to be questions which are going to be asked for God knows how long now.
Listen to Lee and Christian say it's almost not on the fan base, so they don't choose who takes over them.
Look, football's not geared up to be able to cope with this anyway. Right. Football is structurally incompetent and not sound. We've seen clubs in this country trying to run away with basically the crown jewels in the last 6 months. We've seen big picture 12 months ago where the clubs have tried to gain power and self-importance, ego, greed, reign supreme in the game. That's why I've called for an independent regulator. I think this is the type of deal that would have been looked at by an independent regulator to see whether it was the right thing for English football. However, the horse has bolted in some ways when it comes to human rights issues and ownerships of football clubs, not just in this country but in Europe. City, United, apparently Liverpool were against it. You can't listen to them. Morally bankrupt 6 months ago, those three. What they tried to do, so they can't complain about anybody else. However, that's why I believe football in this country is far more important than what would be a number of clubs. It needs to have some what would be independence at the heart of it, and hopefully that comes in soon.
Yeah. Lee, Kris, what do you want from the owners, and what do you expect them, honestly, to deliver in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think we've already had little clippets already, just in the space of 4 or 5 days. We've heard more from Amanda Staveley and her party than what we ever had under Mike Ashley, and it looks like she said the pockets will be deep. Of course they will be, but this is a project at the end of the day, and I think we appreciate that as Newcastle fans. Obviously, the last 14 years, there hasn't been a single project there. So for a slow build, then perfect. We're not expecting, no matter what the likes of the media may say, we're not expecting to win the Champions League, the Premier League in the next 5 years.
As well, training ground needs investment. It's appalling state. It's equivalent of a League One. We've got the worst training ground in the Premier League. Except from the long staffs, we haven't had nobody come in for years and years. Local talent, where's the money getting put into there? Kris is right, money will come in, we will get better calibre players, but I look at someone like a Leicester City right now and think, well, why can't Newcastle be a Leicester in a couple of years' time? Get the training ground, get better coaching, change the manager. Manager has to go for me. Change all of that. New identity, a fresh start, hope is what we want, and we've got it now.
Scholes, do you think Steve Bruce deserves a crack at this or not?
Yeah, I think he probably does.
Why?
Yeah, you might win something the next couple of years. You could win the championship next year.
Why does he deserve it?
Yeah, you was ready.
You could be the richest club in the Championship.
He's a Championship manager.
No, look, I think it is. Well, look, I'm obviously going to say he deserves a chance. We played with him, we know him. Do I think it's going to happen? No, probably not. Because new owners, they bring new people in on it. It happens every single time. And do you know what? When these managers get big payoffs for failing, I feel like it's wrong. Yeah. But with Steve Bruce, for the flack and the he's taken from all the fans just protecting Mike Ashley, he deserves a big payoff for what he's done.
I understand that, and as lot comes back to us fans saying he's been too harsh on Steve Bruce, he's criticising him too much. He's a manager that's been failed to win games. It happens at every single club, but for some reason it gets tarnished against us, saying we're 19th in the league. We've won 7 games in the last 37. That's poor.
We've
that.
won none this season.
Yeah, but you can't expect improvement straight away. It's not going to happen straight away. Pardon?
3 years.
3 years.
I know.
Newcastle, for where they're at, staying in the league is probably success.
Is that where
from the amount of investment you've had?
Is that where we should be, though?
No, it's not where you should be, and it's not hopefully where you're going to be in years to come. But it's going to take a good amount of time. Don't just expect next year we're going to be challenging for the league title or European trophy. Look at City; it took him a while.
No, I think Newcastle fans fully understand that. But Steve Bruce,
if not Steve Bruce,
is a bit.
Then who? Who do you want? And who realistically can you get?
If I had a magic wand, I would have, in long term, I'd probably go for someone like a Mancini. But for short term, someone like a Brendan Rodgers or an Eddie Howe to gradually play a better, expansive football, climb the table, because that is expected with the money coming in.
Would you leave Leicester now for
Definitely not.
For a Newcastle side that's in transition?
Money talks, doesn't it? We've got plenty of it.
I think that's a problem we have now. That's a problem that we've got now, is the managerial situation. Is, of course, everyone's looking at the world-class managers, who's going to come in. But we're 19th in the Premier League, we've got to remember that. So who's going to come in right now? My choice would probably be Graham Potter at Brighton. I would look at that and look at what he's done and the football that they're playing. We've got to remember that the playing squad right now isn't great, and that's not going to change overnight. And you'd be lucky if it changes much in January. Yeah. So you need a manager that's going to be that in-between stage.
Carragher, who'd you bring in?
Who would I bring? I mean, the people you're mentioning, they're actually in jobs now, so that would be a slight problem. And I think the problem for Newcastle is that at the next batch of players or the next manager, people don't want to be this first batch, they want to be the second batch. Because what you've got an idea of, we bring Brendan Rodgers, we'll get us to 5th or 6th, Eddie Howe, whoever it may be, and then we'll get Mancini. It's the same with players. You're not going to get the best players right now, so you have to be realistic. So whoever you're thinking of signing as a manager or a player, no, you're almost getting brought into a certain job, and then we're going to try and move you on and get better till we get to a certain point. Maybe Jesse Lingard would be a good sign. He's not playing here, but would you leave Man United to go to a team who were 19th? If you're Declan Rice, would you, England's central midfield player, would you go and play for Newcastle and think it's going to be 2 or 3 years before we get where we're going to get to? So I don't think it's as easy as it sounds. A great position that you find yourselves in. But Gary's spoken about off the field. I'm really pleased that not Newcastle have got money and you deserve this, because they can talk about every club, you know, Notts Forest, Sheffield Wednesday, all these big, huge clubs in English football. But I'm just glad there's going to be someone else who joined in the party in terms of maybe challenging for the Champions League position, trophies as well, because I think the sad thing about the way the game's gone is that teams who I class Newcastle as, I wouldn't class Newcastle as the elite or the sort of teams who've been there historically, like Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, if you go back 40, 50 years. But teams like Everton, Aston Villa, Newcastle, West Ham, those teams who probably have ambitions to sort of get there, who have won big trophies in the past. Tottenham are probably another one in some ways, in that these big clubs have gone like 25, 30 years without winning a trophy. I don't like that. And I don't think it's right for English football that these giants of football clubs go on this long. So if Newcastle can get involved and there's more teams involved who have a chance of winning a trophy that we saw, maybe if you go back to the 70s, where it was almost like a different team winning the league every year, or the FA Cup in the 80s, different teams. I want a little bit of that back in football, I must say that. But I think if Newcastle win a league in the next 10 years, I think you've done a great job.
The thing that Mike Ashley's done at the club has allowed us to go and spend, so we have up to 190 million to possibly spend. However, Amanda has said that she wants to look at the youth, she wants to have the women's investment. I'd love to see have a WSL team, a bit like Man United have done, that's the long-term goal.
Yeah, I think it sounds more like a City thing.
Gary, I think we know as much as you. It's all new for us as well.